You are not gonna believe what I got to do today. There are so many options for my future, so I'm gonna look around now while I have the chance. Join me as I explore the world of work. Today I'm at Monticello Farm and Garden.
Hi, I'm Jim Boxberger, and technically Jim Boxberger Jr. because my father was the original, but he's no longer with us. Right now, I am the owner-operator here at Monticello Farm, Home and Garden. And a brief description of what I do is pretty much everything. I've worked my way up from sweeping floors and cleaning toilets and everything in between. Now it's mostly just the day-to-day operations with taking care, making sure all the bills get paid, making sure that we have products for the shelf, ordering, pricing, and stuff like that. It's one of these things. It's a very long and arduous process, and it takes a lot of time. Takes a lot of dedication, but the thing is being that I've been doing this for so long, I started in 1983. It's one of these things, it's gotten a lot easier over the years. Big greenhouse out here. This will have a lot more action coming up here in the next month or so, but we do have some things that we've got started. We pot up a lot of berries and all the berries that we have out front, and these are some of our grapevines that'll be going out in another couple of weeks.
Yeah, so you guys do a lot of stuff from like pets to plants. Which plants are like your biggest selling points, kind of?
Well, see, it all depends on the season. We're not back there yet, but once we get back to sporting goods and clothing, the sporting goods and clothing department are really busy, especially in the fall and winter season. Right now, we're gearing up for the spring. I mean, we're still, it's late March, so we still have a lot of cold weather to come, even though it's going to get nice and warm today, and it's usually always nice and warm in here. So we keep the greenhouse at a minimum 50 degrees to keep everything happy right now. But soon we'll be getting plants in from some of our suppliers. These are just some of the plants that that we've potted up ourselves.
You guys still have a lot for like the springtime.
Oh yeah, and there'll be a lot more too.
I was so surprised when I saw flowers growing here. It is so early season and it hasn't even been warm yet. So how are they able to do it? Well, in this greenhouse, they keep it at a consistent 50 degrees or above. That's pretty cool.
Just about everything up here, we've got all the stuff with all the different things that you need for your pets. We've got loads of lawn and garden stuff, soils, fertilizers, all sorts of hoses and tools, and all sorts of things like that. We do still have some what you consider like farm supplies, which is mostly stuff for the horsemen up at the racetrack. Some horse items and treats and things like that. All sorts of other farm goodies, like a lot of people getting into chickens and stuff these days. So.
My family and I come here all the time to buy supplies for my chickens, such as this. This is a chicken feeder. I normally put a jar of food on top of this, and then they can eat it through these holes. And I also buy these all the time. These are dried crickets. They're pretty disgusting, but my chickens love them.
This is the clothing section. Clothing and sporting goods. A lot of clothing, because, with the Carhartt, we've been selling this for years and years and years, and the clothing business has gotten extremely big. Likewise, the sporting goods, which we'll go over here, with everyone being home, last year in particular.
Has the pandemic helped you, or has it really made it harder to work at Agway?
Well, in the beginning, we weren't sure what was going to happen. Last January, February, and March in particular, things were very slow. And things really turned around in the beginning of April. people started to move up out of New York City because they wanted to get away from the population centers.
Yeah.
So they started coming up to what would normally be their summer home, and that because of that increase in the population, it really made things busy. Plus the fact everyone's stuck at home, everyone put in gardens last year. They weren't, they didn't want to have to go to the grocery store as often because they didn't want to go out and mix with other people. And, they had to have something to do. So, just like selling all the pets and everything that, because everyone is like, well, it's a good time to get a puppy, or it's a good time to get fish or a rabbit. Everyone started to garden, and they started to, fix up around the house. It's just like, okay, we have an old dying shrub here. Let's dig that out. Let's put some new in. So it actually made it increasingly busy, and that busyness, because of the increased population in the county, has just spilt over every single month since then. Whenever they do, they just go like that with the bucket. I take this, I fill it up so far, and then I go like that, put it in there, and then you just go like this. You scoop them up, grab a hold of them like this, right? And that way you can start counting them out. See, 1, 2, 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay? You want to do it?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Move this back just a little further. Like I said, in the winter time, I usually grab wax worms. A lot of guys like using the wax worms. So whenever these come, they come in a 24 count. Okay, you got the wax worms, and then you got the mealworms. Okay?
Yeah.
And then, like I said, in the summertime, like I said, I get these night crawlers. I get the night crawlers and stuff and everything. And then there's another one called trout worms, which are a lot smaller.
Yeah.
And that way, that's what everyone wants to get and go fishing with.
I did not know that people came here all the time to get bait for fishing. I thought this place was just animals and farming, but not fishing or outdoor supplies. I got distracted playing with all these cute animals, but don't think I'm not going to ask this question. If you could give your 11-year-old self advice or words of wisdom to prepare yourself for the world of work, what would it be?
Well, I tell you, it's one of these things that no matter what you do, whether it's this or something else, it's going to take hard work and perseverance. Not everything's going to be easy, and it really shouldn't be easy, because if you don't face challenges, you're never going to feel the accomplishment when you beat the challenge. Talking to my 11-year-old self, that would definitely be interesting, because I kind of grew up in this type of business. Back when it was still Agway, back in the day. My father, he managed an Agway store. Then he was an area manager for Agway. There was many days that I would do ride-alongs with him, and I would go visit other stores with him. So I kind of grew up in the business. I didn't actually start working until I was 16, officially making a paycheck. I can remember that first paycheck. I would think minimum wage at the time was $3.25 an hour. And we did everything from the ground up. Work in the warehouse, unloading trucks. Everything was a lot different back then. Now we have forklifts, to unload things and a lot of machinery and stuff. Back then, everything was taken off the truck by hand. So when you were unloading these bales of peat moss, they would be about 150 pounds, and that went on your shoulder. So I was a lot stronger back in the earlier days than I am now, because now it's a lot of paperwork and a lot more, of all the managerial things, as opposed to, all the opening, grunting, and lifting and stuff like that. But it's one of these things. If something is worth doing, it's worth doing right the first time. Don't do something, halfway. Don't do a sloppy job. I mean, if you're going to do it, if you're going to take your time to do something, you want it done right the first time. And take pride in what you do. That's one of the things that really stands out over the years. I mean, stands the test of time, to say the least. Right now I'm sixth generation working here in Sullivan County. My son, who works for me managing one of my stores, is seventh generation, and my granddaughter, who's in elementary school, I'm sure someday will be eighth generation. So it's nothing that we take lightly, because it's kind of been like the family business. Whether it's at this location or another location. Take pride in what you do. Treat customers well. The old adage, you never get a second chance to make a first impression.